Show. Always Irish. Show. Always Irish. Show. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. What are you doing? Don't do this to me, Harry! The Ohio State. It's Ohio State! What do you mean, the? It's a poison. I almost stroked out and died over it. I'm glad to be at the party. I'm mad we're this late. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship. That helps the defense without them even doing a damn thing. Doing a damn thing. The call-in line. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Irish. Yeah, that's right. Oh, we're off to the races early in the chat today. I got a theory on all this. And I'm convinced my theory is accurate. But man, it's a weird time of the year in the college football calendar. It is a weird time of the year when you're like a diehard of a team and you just don't have much to grab onto in the moment. I think that creates a cascade of like going 5 layers in everybody's mind, and you think of everything inside and out and outside of in, and there's no immediate answers, and you think about every single thing and you overthink it, and then you think about it again. And I do it too in different ways. And I get it. I understand it. I understand it. It's just, I think it's something not just with Notre Dame, but all diehard college football people this time of the year. I'm convinced. I've done this enough cycles. That I just feel like there's an actual, like, scientific, like some psychological thing with it. Where, like, you follow me here. Oh, that's on the bingo card. Where is my bingo card? Where is that thing? There you go. Where is it? Follow me here. Check yourself off. You get a bingo. The follow me here. Here's what I see, and here's what I feel. You got this season, and then that ends, and then you catch your breath and whatever, and it's winter, whatever, you catch your breath. Then you ramp up to spring, and everybody's excited about that, and it's lower pressure, but still gives you your football taste. So you get into spring, and then you get excited about that. But then after spring goes away and that's gone, then you have like, okay, you had your little taste, and that tides you over for a while. But then that wears off. And that's where we're at right now. I'm telling you, that's where we're at right now. That wears off, that little taste of football you had in April or whatever it is. And then, but you're not far enough that you can lock and load to get totally ready for, fall ball. And that light's not quite there yet. You can't quite see that light at the end of the tunnel. And that puts you in this no man's land we're in right now. I'm convinced of it. And if you're a diehard, and any of you guys that are here in the middle of summer for the dog days of summer that everybody's going to say aren't the dog days or whatever. I just think it gets in your head. Because you're literally in no man's land. You don't have the light at the end of the tunnel isn't quite there yet for you to just focus on this year and get excited and all that. And so that's where I think we're at. And I understand it. And I struggle with it too. And as a content guy, it's a little frustrating because the numbers aren't great. No matter what you do now, that nobody's numbers are that great. You're in the off season, whatever, but you want to do the best you can. So there's always a little frustration, but that's just the flow of the business in this when you're doing this. But man, it's a lot sometimes. It's a lot sometimes, and you never know what you're going to get. So today's issue seems to be litigating and being mad about Brian Kelly's Brian Kelly. Yeah, there you go. That's in my head. I'm reading the SPF here. People, I saw Kelly lost, what's the guy's name? Jamboree, something, Jamboree, something like that. Number 1 or 2 guy out of that recruiting class. I don't know what's going on there. It's like, I got to worry about my own stuff. I will say this about Brian Kelly recruiting. 618, I'm coming to you. Listen, you guys, phone lines are open. I have a couple things I want to go over. 312-900-8815. Again, I'll tell you what I've been saying all summer. You could bring it wherever you want, and I kind of have your time when we're in this part of the year. It's just a really... it's just a time of the year for exploration of all your philosophical ideas about football, good or bad, or in the middle. Always Irish Senior, good to see you. We got Andrew and his whole family, not Andrew Gilmore. My brother Andrew's in town from Florida. Everybody's they're back, going to come over and swim when I'm done with the show. And we're going to go to Notre Dame tomorrow and be on campus with the kids and take pictures and do all that. I'm excited to be back. But I admit to you guys, I'm feeling the summerness, and I don't like it. And I'm ready for us to get further down the road. I'm just telling you, I'm ready for it, like to have something to grab onto. But you could take the calls wherever you want. You could talk about the recruiting, talk about this year, talk about whatever you want. I'm totally open to that. I did see something on the Kelly recruiting. I think it was before that guy decommitted. Larry says, good morning, John. Turned 75 today. Go Irish. Larry, God bless you, man. Thanks for being here, and happy 75th. 75 strong and long, baby. That's a beautiful thing. Imagine me here at 75. It'll just be a skeleton typing. I don't know if I'm going to be alive or not, but there's going to be a skeleton here typing in the chat, yelling at people or whatever. Oh, my God. Oh, yeah, Larry's an old G for sure, man. I dig that. I appreciate your contributions. Anyways, I'm ready for real football. I'm just ready for it because we need to turn the page. You get turned around in your own head too much, and it'll drive you nuts. Oh, back to the Brian Kelly thing. I did SPF. Maybe you can answer this for me. Always skeleton. Yeah, that's a good one. That's my Halloween show. I saw one of the LSU beat guys. Who is it? Preston? I don't know. One of those guys that bothers me. Preston bothers me. Just looking at him bothers me. I don't know why. Something about that guy's face I do not like, and it bothers me. He looks like I don't know what it is, but that guy, it bothers me. There's just something there I don't like. And he did this big tweet thing about like Brian Kelly recruiting in Notre Dame, and then what he's done at LSU or whatever, showing that, there's more top end players at LSU or whatever now. And he did this big breakdown of it. And it was meant to be like this I gotcha moment, like dunking on Notre Dame, like, look how much better, it is at LSU. And it was supposed to be like this dump on Notre Dame. But to me, I looked at it and I went, all you're doing here is proving my point. I didn't understand it. Follow me here. I don't understand it because it was all about like, look at the top 100 blah, 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 blah players, more of them at LSU than he got at Notre Dame and whatever. And it was like this dunk on Notre Dame or whatever. But I don't understand the theory. That tweet is proving everything that people like me say and think, and what it proves the concept that I've held the whole time. It should be easier to recruit at LSU than Notre Dame. Duh! That's not a dunk on Notre Dame. Everybody knows it's the truth. It's easier to recruit at LSU. There's more local talent, less restrictions on academics. That's the way it should be. None of that surprises me at all. None of that surprises me at all. It's exactly what everybody thinks it should be. So I didn't understand it. That's not some dunk on Notre Dame. That's just showing it's easier to recruit to LSU than Notre Dame. Proximity to top 100 talent. Anybody going to act like there's as much top end talent around the greater South Bend metropolitan area than at LSU? Like, so that's exactly how it should be. And the other part of it is, if you wanted to do, like, it also kind of makes it look like the argument that he didn't try as hard at Notre Dame applies. And then you go to LSU and you could try just as hard and have better results because it's just easier to get it done there. So I didn't understand that guy. He was trying to dunk on the old Notre Dame thing or whatever. And I'm looking at it all go, yeah, this all makes perfect sense. It should be easier to recruit to LSU than Notre Dame. And dunking on Notre Dame, it almost made Brian Kelly look like he was doing what I was doing, not trying that hard. And then you could try the same amount of hard at LSU and get different results because it's just an easier way to do it. So I don't know, man. I don't know. But I'm convinced I'm convinced that we're at that part of the summer where everybody's getting in their own head. And we'll go over some of these chats. I understand the concern about the 22 class, defensively especially, and that we wanted it to be better. And, Andrew Gilmore's letting us know the media carries Freeman's water and they don't question anything and they get their marching orders from the program and everything's rosy. And even though there's only like one or two good guys in that class and all this stuff, like, I get it, man. I get it. It just wears me out sometimes. I love how much you guys think about Notre Dame and Notre Dame football. Eric, how are you, man? Good to see you here from the Ohio podcast. Growing strong and long, man. It's good to see. And then about the media part, 618, I'm coming to you. About the media part of it, now that I'm further in that mix, I understand a lot more how that all goes and how tough it is to be in that situation, in that room and that access and that platform. And what I mean by that is, if you're a Notre Dame beat guy or whatever, and you start dumping on Freeman or like the recruiting, or it's like really pointed, bro, there goes your access. There goes your access. Freeman's protector lady is yanking you and you're out. Yanking you and you're out. And I don't think people maybe fully understand all of those dynamics. And that all those people that control your access to the program and getting in the meeting room and getting in there to do all that, they see what you do. And if they don't like it, your access is just it ain't. And that puts people in a very weird position. Like, you're always going to have some people that carry water for the Notre Dame coach, no matter who it is or whatever, and others that may have their favorites or like their coach they approve of or like or whatever and protect them more than others, whatever it is. I'm just saying it really changes things when you have that access on the line and they have people looking at your tweets. I know for a fact they have people looking at your tweets. They have people monitoring your stuff. And if you step out of line or do anything, whatever, you risk your outlet not having that access. Now, Should it be that way? Should it just be like you're open to go do whatever you want and tell the truth or whatever? In an ideal world, yes. But this is all, it's all polished. Like it's all like you, how do I want to say this, man? Like that room they have under control, if that makes sense. There are people there just looking for anything that doesn't jive with their thing they're comfortable with, and then it could put you in a tough spot. And somebody like me, it really puts you in a tough spot. Because I'm outspoken about a lot of things. Maybe not, Andrew, settle down, you're typing. Maybe not just yelling at Freeman, so settle down. I know Andrew's there typing that probably. Maybe not with the Freeman stuff. But with other stuff I've done, it's way across the line of what they want. Going after Swarbrick was the number one thing. Kelly's a different situation. But going after Swarbrick, and then him saying that I'm the problem with the media reporting from my basement. That kind of stuff, man, you're on the radar then. And it's like people see it. And so it's just kind of tough. And then it puts me in a position of, this is healthy for me to talk it out. Thanks for going along for the ride. Then it puts somebody like me in a position where you're like, well, do you want to sign up to be in that meeting room and be at practices and then be in that room where they're asking questions and do all that media scrum stuff with your USA Today media credential? But then kind of have to watch your back and be limited and measured in what you say, because then you're on that radar for that access and all that? Or do you want to not take that step and have more freedom to be able to do what you want to do here? Where I'm struggling is finding the middle ground. This is a very healthy conversation for me to have, something I've thought about a lot. Puts you in the middle ground, right? How do I thread that needle of doing the stuff I do and yelling at all the stuff I do and going after the AD when he messes up and then tells you that it's your fault and to give him more money when he messes up? That puts you in no man's land, bro, because if you say what you want to really say, then guess what? You ain't getting access to that room and you're not going to practice and you're not invited and you're on that shit list. But the other way is everything's rosy in Notre Dame land. Love everybody. Everything we touch is gold and all the recruits are perfect and there's nothing that needs to be better. And you're all, and that's the other way. And if I do that, then I'm going against 8 years of this program. And the only reason you guys are here, it ain't my X's and O's expertise. And it isn't me breaking down film. And I'm not like my Patreon partner where I could look at a guy and know right away if he's going to be good or in the NFL and a great linebacker. And I know what I'm looking for. That isn't my thing. So it puts you in a weird spot. Yeah, misguided passion, Sly Fox. That's what Swarbrick said about me. Misguided passion. No. My passion's guided perfectly. Do the right things in Notre Dame and win big games. My passion's misguided. You're misguided when you go to sit down and sign a contract and you don't even know the language on it. Maybe you're misguided. Glad he's retired. Good for you, buddy. Go enjoy your money and your whatever and go away. I'm just glad. But I do admit to you guys, there is like a big decision to be made. Do you want to do the media thing, which means you got to watch your P's and Q's, really tighten it up, protect the brand and do all that? That's kind of an expectation to get in that room. Or do you want to really say and let it rip and do whatever you need to do and take shots at the AD the way I did and have him take shots at you? You know what? It's quite the feat by a guy in his basement that the last AD and the last coach went at him personally. I take that as a badge of honor. Both of those guys have come at me personally, and I love it. But they're both gone. Now you're in a new situation, right? That's a little different now because they're both long gone. They're both long gone. So it's a little bit different now, kind of a fresh start. I think I'm in decent with Pete. So far, so good. And I have some people that know me, that vouched for me to Pete, that Pete trusts. So I think I'm starting out in a better position with Bavakwa as the new AD. But it is a very, very tricky thing, you guys. It is not, Andrew, it is easy to say. I'm assuming Andrew's still in here. It is really easy to say, why doesn't the media just go in there and light it up or whatever and ask the tough questions and be a hard line, whatever? I'm just telling you, man, it's really not an option if you want to stay in good graces. And this is not a Notre Dame problem. Just like Uncle Lou's saying, good to see you, Lou. And I mean, Lou's the ultimate guy of like, I don't need any access to do. I don't need to rely on anybody else. I'm just going to say whatever I want and let it rip. And that's why people like him. Because you know what I mean? There's no filter. There's no nothing. You let it rip. Go at who you want to go at, whatever. But it really is. That's how all the media is. It's not just college football. That goes for politics too and whatever. Like, protect your side no matter what. Can't admit when something's not good. Like, you got to cover for the operation. Like, that's just how it is, man. But when I tell you that they have people looking at your tweets and your whatever, and if you step out of line, you're going to have a problem with that access. It changes how you have to approach that job every day. And so it's really tricky. And then for me, think about it. For me, I got a following here by being the guy who yells about everything and has no filter and lets it rip. Great. Then John gets more subscribers and then kind of gains a little following. And then you get a writing contract with USA Today and whatever. And that's the next step of credibility. And with that comes the option to get the press pass and do all this. Now you're in no man's land. Now you're in the middle. Are you going to be fully one of those guys and then give up how you built this following? Or are you going to give up that access, not be able to get in there and post a video of fall practice saying, oh, here's what the O-line looks like. But you don't have that because you want to stay the way you're doing it now. It's a weird spot to be. And I've been racking my mind about how to thread the needle. Is there a way you could get in there and maintain a little edge, but not go too far, but respect the access you do have and understand that there's a certain level of polish you have to do that? Right? So it is tricky, you guys. And I underestimated the level of control the powers that be have over some of this. I underestimated it till the further I got in it. So I don't know, just a little something to think about, but it's like, and I don't think it's like Notre Dame tells them, here's what you're going to write for the week, all shamrocks and rainbows. That's not it. But it's just, you need to know that if you go the other way, people are going to see it. And the next time you walk in that room, they might just put the bar down on you. This also goes for Notre Dame employees, like not people doing what I'm doing, but peripheral employees. If you tweet one thing, man, boom, you're getting a letter in your mailbox in Notre Dame. You violated stuff. I'm just telling you, that's the way it is. It isn't that easy to navigate. And I've bumped up against this problem because I'm in this. Which camp you going to be in? It'd be nice to have that access, be able to ask some questions, be able to go to fall practice and be on the sideline and see it all, record it and post it for you guys. It'd be good for the channel to be able to record my own practice footage and post. It'd be great for the channel. Bro, it's big decisions to be made. How was night golf? Night golf's fun, man. Everybody just gets a cooler full of beer and you go out there night golf and everybody's, hooting and hollering and somebody was shooting fireworks off from their golf cart. They have everything lit. It's a fun party thing to do. Low pressure golf. Uncle Lou, you're right. There's 0% chance Georgia or any team is letting me anywhere near a media room. But like, Lou's big enough now. He don't need that. And he has the credibility with who he needs it to be successful doing it the way he's doing it. Right? Like he's over that hump with his numbers and how many subscribers and everything and covering the conference that gets so much action and everybody talks about all the time. So it's a really, really tricky thing. I'm trying to find a way to thread that needle. And be able to navigate both. And be professional and respectful and be in there and whatever. But like, all right, I'm done with that. But it's just not the easiest thing in the world. And I used to rip on those guys too. And then when you're in it, you realize how hard it is to toe that line. $10 olive from my main man, Martinez. Don't worry, John. You're taking over the wine and cheese cart, whiskey and wings for us. I know. I rip on the wine and cheese Notre Dame people, and then I took all those pictures, and there's a bunch of wine and cheese people. Like, but I was trying to make them drink Miller Lite and be normal. There was a lot of, literally, we literally walked into that Notre Dame event, and the very first thing you see is a huge spread of wine and cheese, just all these different cheeses. And then you turn around and there's the wine bar. And I'm thinking, man, I'm at Notre Dame. Here we go. I'm swimming upstream on this one. Tom, Chris, 2488, $20 hour. You guys are the nicest people in the world. And by the way, thank you for the handcrafted Notre Dame stuff you made for the spring tailgate. Been able to give those out to everybody in my crew that helped put everything together, and everybody appreciated the gifts you guys spent your time handcrafting and making. Really, really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Yeah, it was, dude, I mean, I was just having a good time when I was going around booing and thumbs down at that event that had the wine and the cheese. Like, I mean, I was having fun with it, but it is what it is. Oh, man. Oh, boy. Okay, let's do, I'm going to bring 618 up here and get this going. And then we'll go back to some of these chats. 618, what's going on?
Hey.
Good morning.
Hey, what's going on, John, man?
Hey, listen, I got to tell you, man, people are kind of stressing out right now. I think we're in the middle of summer. Everybody's in their own heads. Is the recruiting good enough? Is it not? Is this current class going to fall apart or get better? We're relitigating the 2022 class and some of those failures, and guys that didn't work out got a couple medical retirements. What do you make of it? Everybody's in their own head.
I don't think this class is going to fall apart. I think it's only going to get better, man, especially on July 5th.
So you feel good about it. Here's what I'm worried about. You can't gain a few more guys, feel good about that. Then you lose some of your top end guys and it all shuffles down and then levels out there. That's what you can't have. And that's what I want to prevent. You got to find a way to keep your top end guys, Deuce and Taylor and all that, and then add a couple of these receivers and a couple of those linebackers and whatever. Like, that's what I need.
Man, I was looking at his interviews, man, and he had Deuce didn't even bring up Ole Miss. I mean, I don't know why the Ole Miss fans is begging. It's more like they way of begging. I don't think Deuce he's not coming out the class, man.
Yeah, I feel 100% more confident Deuce is sticking around than Taylor. That's the one that I have anxiety about, and he was all like, dude, he's saying, explain to me, man. He's saying, yeah, I don't really have a timeline. What do you mean you don't have a timeline? You're verbally committed to Notre Dame. Isn't that like, do we have this backwards or what? He's talking about I don't have a timeline, and I'm talking about you're already verbally committed to Notre Dame. What's your timeline?
Yeah, I don't think he's coming out the class either. I think we're pretty safe on both of those guys.
And then here's the other one, man. Look at this. No kidding. We got the LSU guys saying everybody's leaving, and then the fake Notre Dame fan Indy football account saying everybody's leaving. Real Notre Dame fans don't buy it. That Indy football account is a plant. And I don't know who it is, but they're not a Notre Dame fan. I can tell by the way they're trolling. It's not even coming from a genuine place. So that Indy football one, be careful when you see that logo. So I don't know, man. What you think? You feel good about this, or do you want? This is a different question. Do you feel good about where we're at, or do you just want to feel good about where we're at? Those are two different worlds, bro.
I feel good about where we at, John. I think we finish up this season 12-0. We make it a run in the playoffs. Maybe not get to the championship, but make it to the semifinals. And man, we bring Indy football back, man.
Yeah, it's the way I look at it is, man, I could see this 25 class ending real strong. Follow me here. Usually it's like Notre Dame's got the bulk of their class. They have 4 or 5 spots left. Nobody high on their board is that interested in Notre Dame. And then you start going down your board. And before you know it, they fill out the last few spots with guys with my body type and nobody's happy. That is like limping to the finish line in a recruiting class. Notre Dame's in a position now where if they can maintain those top end guys in the class, and then a lot of the guys they have left to choose from or that are maybe choosing Notre Dame are at least 4-star guys, you would be able to finish strong. That would be new. I don't know too many years Notre Dame finishes and their last handful of recruits are 4-star, 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 position to need 4-star. That's what I'm looking for. And it'd be a totally different way to finish out a class on the high end rather than limping to the finish line. And I'm here for
it. And I thought, before the visit from Meadows, I was like, there's no way we get Meadows in this class. Now I'm pretty high that we get Meadows in the class.
It's a little interesting. I do feel like he's enjoying the recruiting process. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think he likes seeing everything, getting everywhere, being down south, checking out Notre Dame, seeing what the SEC has to offer and what, what's in the mix there. Like, and that is his right as a big time recruit to go do all that. You just got to hope that those guys do all that, and then they sit there and they get with their family or their support system or whatever, and then they decide, okay, like it might be way more fun and exciting somewhere else, but the right path for me is in Notre Dame for all these big life reasons. I don't know what to think, man.
Yeah, I don't know what to think either, but like I say, I really think Meadows, I think we get to New Hines next week. Meadows don't take too much longer after that and commit to Notre Dame.
Hines is fast. Ooh, baby. Hines is fast. He's got some burst on him, and I love it. You got to go from burst to first, baby.
Yeah, I think we get Hines and we get Bland next week. We get both of them on the 5th, and then I think we get one more wide receiver in the class after Hines and Meadows, and I'm thinking it might be the kid from Indiana, the local kid, who's a 4-star, and then we pretty much be filled out after that, and you can let Wesley know, man. You gotta let these guys. I know they're not trying to be hard on him, but you gotta let them know, like, hey, man, we the only guy that we looking at in this class at that position. You got to come on with it now.
Yeah, it's it's going to be really interesting to see. But you could see this class really rounding out strong into the finish, or you could see it kind of unravel a little bit and linger and leave a bad taste in your mouth. Like you're on that edge. And so, but Look at this. I got the LSU trolls telling me all the guys we want aren't coming. Like, I know your angle. You want to just make me mad and put all the negativity out. I'm not listening to you, SPF. Your job is to make my blood pressure go up every day. Give me a break.
Yeah, I think they kind of upset with they're not getting none of the guys that they expected that they was going to get. Like Decorian Moore decommitted, and Jamie French, him and Moore might end up at Texas together. Man, they got a lot going on to be worrying about Notre Dame.
Yeah, I just think it's morning, and I understand that could be entertaining for people, man. So I don't know. Do you feel like, here's one thing I think was in the mix. I think Notre Dame was hoping some of these guys after the recent visits were going to pop for Notre Dame shortly after the visits. And it turns out that they're going to play it out a little longer. And I don't think that's ideally what Notre Dame had in mind. I think they were hoping after that last burst of visits that you would get a couple pops. And you really didn't. So I think there's a little uncomfortableness there, but it could all work out. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is. It's all going to work out, man. It's going to work out in Notre Dame's favor. Man, to me, man, I kind of hate the way that Marcus Freeman recruit because I love that he get all the guys that we want, but he recruit because of a lot of the big time recruits want to be recruited to the very end. They don't pretty much care about, you know what I'm saying. They might commit to a school, and you never know, if you keep recruiting them, you might pull them in, might reel them in. And that's why I like the big schools like Bama and the rest of them recruit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's man, I don't know. And I'm still trying to figure out exactly where Notre Dame's footing is in the modern recruiting thing. Like, I know they're trying to get more involved with NIL, trying to understand that you might have to promise some freshman recruits coming out of high school some guaranteed NIL money when they get to Notre Dame. And that's not something they originally were comfortable doing, but I think they're starting to realize it might be totally prohibitive if you're not willing to extend that to those young guys. You're maybe out of the mix for a lot of those guys. I'm just trying to figure out where Notre Dame's footing is going to be here. And I think the 25 class and the 24 season on the field is going to be a big deal. I just need you to finish strong on this. Yeah. Have a good year on the field, and then you're really, really set up for some success, hopefully.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. Like, man, you got to pretty much finish strong, and then go win with the product on the field. You just can't. You just can't, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You definitely got to win on the field.
And you know what? That's another thing I've been thinking about is how important what happens on the field is next year with that recruiting class, right? Still verbally committed, but not signed yet. And then does that impact it, or the guys that are bought in no matter what it looks like on the field? Or there's some offensive guys that want to see what Denbrock's offense looks like. I don't know how that works, but if you have a good year on the field, it can only help recruiting to lock up 25 and for the next year.
Yeah. And we ain't seeing Bama get, we're not seeing Alabama get everybody that they want.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's, I don't know. You need to have I'm just getting in my own brain. Too much thinking, not enough answers. You're in summer. It's getting to me, man. I need the light at the end of the tunnel. We need to get to camp.
Yeah. And it's not like the Alabama great this year. I mean, a lot of people trying to see what theirs going to look like on the field before they go and decide. Or let everybody just hop on Bama bandwagon because it's Bama.
Yeah, it's I I don't know, man. This is causing me anxiety. And I know everything causes me anxiety, but geez. I don't know, man. We got to close.
I think we finished 12-0 this year, man. I think
oh, baby.
they put it all together.
12-0.
And the offense.
You know what my response to that is? It's really hard to go 12-0 if you start out 0-1. Like, I'm not trying to be that guy, but like there really is that much importance put on week 1.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
I think Notre Dame beat. I think not only do they beat, you got to think, man, you know, A&M is in the same position that we in right now. So they ain't in the greatest of positions themselves. So,
yeah, it's just
not like last year or the year before going into the season, starting off with Ohio State or having Ohio State early in the season. I really think that we're better than A&M, man. I mean, even without a new head coach, the head coach that A&M got, I think we're still better than A&M. We'd have beat them if they had the greatest head coach, because everybody done pretty much left A&M.
It's here's the thing though, man. You could say like we're better than them, but there's a lot of teams that on paper are better than the team they're playing that lose the game that night. That's the issue, right? Like, that's the issue. Notre Dame should be better or whatever, but that doesn't mean you're going to win the game. You got to put it together. Like, you know what I mean? And so, and then week 1, man, there's so much inherent randomness tied to week 1 games. There just is. Like, weird things happen that aren't going to happen later in the year, but it's week 1 and goofy things happen. One or two little mistakes that will never happen in a few weeks down into the season. If it happens week 1, you could lose the game. Like, there's a lot of random inherent stuff that's hard to predict that happens week 1 all over the country. And you need to make sure that you're on the winning side of that.
Yeah.
How about this? Offensive line, bro. How about that? That's something Gouldsby and I were talking about last night. How about offensive line? So how do you handle this when you get into camp? How do you handle it when you get into camp?
Yeah, young guy. And I can't wait to see this kid, Gerby Lambert. Maybe he can take over on the right side. The right side concerns me more than the left side.
Yeah, listen, man, I don't know how you handle it. Do you get those guys into camp and you say, we're rotating guys, different spots, inside, outside, moving you into here. You're a tackle. You're going to try moving to right guard, and we're going to try young guys in a blend of this and that. Like, I don't know how you figure that all out, but you got about 2.5 to 3 weeks to do your competition and figure it all out. And then you got a game prep for the week for A&M, and then you're in the middle of it. So, like, you need to figure out what you're going to do. And here's the question, man. Do you go with less skill and more experience against A&M, or do you put Emil Wagner out there as a freshman, a big guy, but he has no experience? Or do you go with a less skilled guy with more experience to be able to handle that A&M moment? These are big decisions that could impact that game. And I don't know what the right decision is.
The right decision is to put the best 11 on the field. That's the best decision you can make in this situation, John.
It's a tough spot. It's a tough spot to be in. And the reason dude, isn't that the strength of their team I hear about, is like that defensive line and the guys coming off the edge is supposed to be the strength of their team. And then if you ask me, that's one of the areas I'm most nervous about. And it's going to be loud as hell week 1 and all that stuff. That's where a lot of my anxiety stands.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to definitely be a test, but, man, I don't think their offense going to be any good. You know, hey, if you can't score and if we can't score, as long as we score a little bit more than you, we win.
Right. So I don't know, man. There's a lot of what ifs, and we're not going to get any of these answers for a while. But that offensive line thing, I don't know what they're going to do. I genuinely don't know what they're going to do, and I don't know what the right move is. Or do you go with the guy with the experience but give him a quick hook if he's got experience but isn't skilled enough to, get in front of a guy. Like, is it a quick hook at A&M? And then you go to the young guy and it's his spot. I don't know how you're going to handle it, but you got to figure it out. Rudolph, you got to figure it out.
I think the best two to go with right now is you go with the two most talented tackles that you got, which would be the sophomore and Lambert, man, and you go from there. I mean, we go and we see what we can get out of there. Man, we gotta be prepared, and man, it really ain't no way to get prepared for crowd noise.
Yeah, it's I don't know, but I'm not going to relax till that game's over and Notre Dame wins. That is just my number one priority. My number one. You can't underestimate how much that one game's going to move the needle. And it's either going to be way in our favor or it's going to kill all momentum right out of the gate to start the year. And you're going to have no momentum at all. Absolutely none. You know how this fan base is, man. If they lose this game, all the air's coming out of the balloon. No one's going to have any interest in the Northern Illinois game. Like, nothing's going to matter again right away. It's just going to be really rough to overcome that negativity week one. It can't be. You need to win that damn game. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care if it's ugly. You need to win the game.
Yeah, it's definitely going to get ugly, man. And man, with the Irish fans, if we lose to A&M of all teams, if we lose to A&M, man, ain't no telling, man. I don't care if Brian Kelly go 0-12 this year. We're done with Brian Kelly. This is Marcus Freeman team now.
Yeah,
there's no excuses this year.
Yeah, it really needs to be a turning point, and it's just, if you could get through that game, everything sets up beautiful for you. Then you could settle back in, come back home, Northern Illinois, get situated without as much chaos and drama surrounding the games. Have a few weeks of more normal games. Ramp back up for Louisville. Then you get a little break after that. Ramp back up for Florida State. Then you have a break. Ramp back up for USC. The spacing of the schedule is pretty favorable this year, but you got only if you get through week one. Only if you get through week one. If you don't get through week one, everything's going to look hard because you have no leeway.
Like I say, man, Elko is a good coach, but man, it's a difference between coaching at Duke and coaching at Texas A&M. They're going to put all the money and the resources into getting everything that you want at A&M. And if you only finish at 8-4, and if he finished 8-4, 7-5, they're going to run him up out of town the same way they ran Fisher up out of town. It's a big difference coaching down there, man. The recruiting is better. The high school football team is better. I don't think this team. I don't think A&M going to be that good this year. I'm gonna think they're gonna go probably maybe 3-9, maybe 4-8. This is not a good year for A&M, especially the way they schedule stack up.
So that's really brutal, though. That's a brutal record. You don't think they have enough talent, just raw talent, that they're going to be able to do better than that? And what do you think of Connor Wegman? He's allegedly coming back healthy. By the way, another thing on the bingo sheet, year one, game one versus year three, game one on the Always Irish. So we're talking about that again, man. How I expect Notre Dame to be way more put together in year three, game one, than Elko could possibly be in year one, game one. You got to be further ahead and more figured out. Right?
I think A&M stay in the game to the very end, but I think Notre Dame win by 10 in that game, man. I think they beat A&M because of the crowd noise and everything. Yes, A&M gonna stay in the game, but I don't see them beating.
Yeah, I
don't see them beating.
And then here's the other thing in my mind about that game already. I don't know That offensive line makes me nervous. I'm not quite fully sure what you're going to get out of Riley Leonard and all that, but follow me, man. All the anxiety I have about Notre Dame's offense. Are you going to actually have a more functioning wide receiver, quarterback passing game? How does the O-line tie into all that anxiety? But I'm very confident Notre Dame's defense is going to be good and ready to play. That's where a lot of my confidence on the A&M game comes from, is on the defensive side of the ball. I think they're going to have a hard time scoring on our defense. And I feel like it's a lot easier for a defense to be ready to play week one than it is an offense, with the timing and the rhythm and the stuff that goes into running a smooth offense. I feel like that defense is going to come ready to go, and A&M should have a hard time scoring on us, whether they're at home with the fake crowd noise pumped in, drinking oil cocktails, male cheerleaders in overalls, whatever. I think our defense is going to play good anyways.
Yeah. I think what we need is we need the ball first, and we need to go down, not get a field goal. We need to go down and punch them in the mouth and get a touchdown the first series.
Telling you what, man. If you could go in there in that environment and make a few big plays early, that is the best way to shut that crowd up, because they are going to be loud and proud to start that game, offense or defense first. If you do the right things, they will quiet up, but that's on us. That's on us.
And don't forget, they're going to be drunk. They're going to be drunk.
Oh, you know they're going to be drunk. I told they're going to be mixing that oil in a blender in the parking lot with a little margarita mix. I'm telling you, these people are wild down there. And man, this is such a big moment. It's just such a big moment. There's no way around it.
Yeah, and it's no excuse on game one this year, man. You know, you go in there, you get that W, and then you come back home to Northern Illinois and blow them out. You know, I want to get to Florida State. And everybody is overrating Florida State too, because I don't think Florida State gonna be that good this year.
Yeah, and man, that's a big question too. Now you have some time, and I don't know about Florida State's schedule, but the last time I looked, there's a chance they're undefeated or only have one loss when they come to Notre Dame November 9th. I'm not that impressed with their schedule before that. And then they're coming to your place November 9th. I have no idea what to make of it. But if they're undefeated or have one loss, they're going to come in there feeling a lot different than if they have a few. So I don't know what to make of them either.
I feel better. I tell you what, I feel better about Clemson, the ACC, than Florida State winning the ACC. I think Clemson's just going to be a better team this year.
Yeah, and the other issue is, regardless of what you think of Clemson, they play Georgia week one. They could lose that game, and it doesn't affect the ACC at all. So should they lose to Georgia or whatever, that doesn't affect your ACC standing. So that's how I see that. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of that one either.
Yeah, I think Clemson win the ACC this year. Clemson or Miami. I think Miami is better than Florida State also. I could be wrong.
I don't know. People keep waiting for Miami to turn it around. They just keep waiting for Miami to turn. Like, I keep hearing good recruiting, pretty good recruiting, whatever, but they underperform on the field. Like, where is Miami at? Like, at what point did they turn that corner, or do they just not? I don't know what to make of it.
And yeah, they got the two kids out of Western A, but man, I'm gonna make some Chicago area Notre Dame fans mad, because I'm kind of happy Justin Scott, man. I'm kind of happy that Justin Scott actually went to Miami instead of Notre Dame, because in high school film, and I think the game that they played against East St. Louis in the playoffs that I actually got to see him play, he didn't impress me. You know,
here's
he's
the
a really
knock.
big kid.
Here's the knock. The knock that I hear and read is, a lot of people don't feel like he's got that dog in him and really wants to like fully apply himself and be all in on football. I keep hearing that from not just Notre Dame media, but like there's like a question of the buy-in of how great he wants to be. I keep hearing that. And I don't know. I don't have anything to base it on. I don't know the guy. I just know that's what I read and hear. And I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, and he to me, he didn't have that dog in him. But they were pushing him down the field, and I'm like, man, come on, dude. You're way too big to be getting pushed down the field, man. Drop your hip, do something, man. You're too big to be getting pushed down the field. I mean, it's just he basically got them 5 stars off of potential, and I don't think it was off of talent. And then he would have been better off going to Notre Dame and being developed instead of going into a situation where he knows it's a possibility that he's going to start and play a lot at Miami.
Yeah. I don't know, man. All I know is it did hurt me on 4th of July weekend last year when all that stuff happened. I remember I was sitting there ready to have a good night, celebrate the 4th of July, had a couple beers in my hand, and then my phone blows up. Yep, we're not getting them, and it ruined the weekend. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah, it ruined my weekend too, but then when I seen him play in person, I was like, oh, man, come on, man. You get pushed around by smaller kids. Younger kids did that.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. This needs to be a shifting year for Notre Dame. On the field, off the field. This needs to be a year that changes things, changes the dial, changes the tone, changes a lot. Like, you need to have a good year on the field. You need to lock down this recruiting class, finish it strong, and provide some stability to whatever we're doing. Stability, a foundation on the field results and recruiting results. Build a foundation that I don't feel Freeman's had yet of like real solid that you can lean on. That's what this year's about for me. Trying to cement, lock in a good recruiting situation and then match it on the field, and then it all goes up from there. That's what I'm looking at. So I don't know, man. It's a wild, we're in a weird spot, and there's a lot on the line.
Yeah, it is. And I feel like this is probably the best besides besides last year. This is the year that I feel like, man, I said it last year that this is the year they're going to either win the national championship or they're going to make a deep run in the playoffs. I thought last year would have been a year they got into the playoffs just to get the experience. But, man, we got one of the better defensive lines, interior defensive line in the country, along with the best secondary in the country, man. It's a win-win situation for us. I believe like the offense to catch up later. Maybe get a couple of punching bags ahead of them after the A&M.
Yeah.
Include A&M. I think A&M defensive line is good, but I think that's it. That's all they got to bring to the table. But they're going into the Notre Dame game going against a younger offensive line, man. I still think that Notre Dame win that game by at least 10 to 15 points. 10 to 14 points.
Oh boy. Can you imagine what a good mood I'm going to be in on that post-game call-in show if that's what happens? We end up winning by a couple scores or more. I can't even imagine the joy on that post-game show if we pull it off. Anything else, man? Thanks for the Monday breakdown.
All right, man.
Have a good one. Take care out there in the old heat. And of course, we're going to Notre Dame tomorrow with the family and the kids and everything. And it's like, it's going to be 107 degrees, like the real feel or whatever. It's going to be like 107 degrees. I can't wait. The heat don't bother me, though. Like, I'm never going to complain about the heat. Other people complain about the heat. I like the heat. As crappy and cold as it is in this area most of the year, I ain't complaining about heat. Give me the heat. Give me the heat. I noticed are you going to the A&M game, John? Not in a million years. You could not pay me Actually, you could that game and deal with those people and be with that whole crowd and the whole. You got to keep your head on a swivel. I don't even think it's safe. I don't want my family around those overall guys, those overall wearing cheerleaders, jazz hands. Hey, A&M. Ooh. No. No, keep my daughter away from them. Keep my brother's son away from them. Like, no, I'm not. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. I got to tell you guys, yeah, I don't think I do good at away games. You kidding me? 228, I'm coming to you. I don't think I do good at away games. You know the way I am. I hate everybody that's not us. I don't like that. Being at an away, I don't like that. I don't even like half of our own home crowd. I don't even like half of our own fan base. I despise. The people on my side, I don't even like half of them. Because they ain't in it for the right reasons. They're there to be seen. Not for the football game. They're there to be seen. So I don't even like half of our own people. You think I'm going to a bunch of away games? You think I'm going to be surrounded by these people down there? No. No. Listen, there's something about the eyes. There's something not right about those guys that are in the cheerleading thing. I can look at them and see they ain't wired right. I don't trust it. Keep your head on a swivel. What was that meme? Hide your kids, hide your wife, because they're coming for everybody out here. I don't trust them. Here's the other thing. You guys were talking about giving me a hard time, letting that guy rip for like a half hour. I told you guys, in the summer, I don't get 50 calls on a Monday morning like I do right after a game. You can let it air out a little bit. It's just not as busy. So if you want to do a dissertation or something, that's the time to do it. And the other thing is, I got to tell you, some of you aren't going to like this. When we get into the post-game shows, I got to cut people off sooner. It's the only way to be fair. I've really been thinking about reviewing some of those shows and how they went. I've really got to please don't hate me for it, but I have got to find a way to give everybody a few minutes, but move those calls along a lot quicker to be able to get as many people in with as many perspectives in, and all the people that donate money to get their call on the air in the postgame show. Like I need to do a better job of moving it along. So everybody's going to have to like a real radio show on AM sports radio. You get your main couple points in and then we go. It's the only fair way to do it. And so I've done a bad job with that because I get caught up in the moment with the people or engage or whatever. We're going to have to move it along a lot. Okay. I'm going to do a few of the super chats. Thanks for you guys jumping in. And then 228, I'm going to come right to you. So let's see. Here's a good one for the group too. $2 holler from Mike. John, honest opinion, is Freeman or Elko better? Elko's certainly got more proven experience because he's been doing it longer. And I do like what he did at Duke. Pretty good. That big of a turnaround that early without top A-line talent across the board and access to it because you're Duke. That does impress me and hit me as being pretty impressive. And this is a really interesting question because you're at two different ends of the spectrum. Kind of an older dude, older school mentality, way to do things, whatever, Elko, and then a younger, more modern guy and way to do it with Freeman there. So I don't know. It's going to be really easy, really fun to track where both these guys are. Mike Elko could do really good at A&M because he's not going to let it spiral out of control the way Jimbo did. Elko's never going to let that happen. It ain't going to happen under his watch. He's too responsible of a coach to let that whole oil money thing get in there and spoil everything. He ain't going to let that happen. So I'm going to be really interested to see how that goes. So I don't know. I mean, Elko's probably proven more in the long term, but he's been doing it longer. It's a big year for Marcus Freeman. It's a really big year for Marcus Freeman. Andrew Gilmore, did you watch Cover 3 Summer School on A&M? They think they're going to win 10 games. I don't know what to think about A&M. They don't think it's a total rebuild. 10 games is wow. And if they do win 10 games, good for them, as long as one of the two they don't is week 1. That would actually be, think about it. That would actually be the best case scenario for Notre Dame, is if A&M did go 10-2 and you're one of the two, that is the best case scenario for Notre Dame next year, right? Because you get the benefit of them being pretty good, but you beat them early on, and then you have that feather in your cap. I would like that. $5 outlet from the Chief. Schedule is worse than Michigan's last year. Go 12-0. I'm so tired of the morality lessons. Just be good at football, have coherent offense. FFS? I like that. It sounds so much cleaner. FFS? Sounds official, like a government 3-letter agency. FFS. What department do you work in? The FFS. I don't know if the schedule is worse than Michigan's. Here's the thing I do like, though. I like the balance of the schedule as far as ramping up to big games, then having a break, then ramping up to another big game, then having a break. And a break, I don't mean like you don't have to worry about who you're playing that week, but I just mean a game where you're not going to have everything cranked to 50 with the intensity of the moment and the build-up and the hype and the energy and all. It isn't going to have that. This schedule allows Notre Dame to get into those moments and then have a break from them and then be able to ramp back up into another one and then have a break from them. That is a big deal to me. And it's something last year's schedule didn't offer, especially in the first 8-week grind with no bye, overseas vacations, 8 weeks in a row, all of that. Night game, undefeated team, night game, game day, whatever. It was a lot. No, it's not an excuse to lose, but it was a lot to navigate, and we did not do a good enough job of it. That's my story, and damn it, I'm sticking to it. Commander Luke, $10 for the hollers. Buy your daughter and little John an ice cream if he made the trip to Indiana. Cheers, guys. I got to tell you, man, for as much shit as the Commander stirs up in this chat, that's about as nice of a message as you could ever have. It genuinely is about the nicest message you could ever have. And I really, really appreciate that. Little Johnny, he made the trip, and we're all going to South Bend tomorrow. So we're going to take some pictures of the kids, go run around, hit the typical stuff there. Meet up with our South Bend people for some lunch. It's going to be good. But honestly, Commander, that's really, really nice of you. Thank you. Genuinely nice. Makes up for a lot of the stuff you say that I have to delete on here or lose half the people who watch. 228, I'm still coming to you. Got a couple more super chats. Andrew, again, I think landing for Ramo is super important. Maybe a potential Viper, and it would be rubbing it in USC's face 2 years in a row. Andrew, and read and explored on my own and been told Notre Dame feels great about this recruitment. Like really great. So that's where I'm at on that. Look at this. Notre Dame's wine and cheese, $5 holler. ND outlets are predicting Notre Dame winning a national title in the next 3 years. What's your timeline and percentage chance of that happening? The percentage chance of Notre Dame winning a championship's low. It's going to be low. That's not even like a direct knock on them. It's just you're getting into a situation where how many years do you think Notre Dame's going to beat 4 top 12 teams in a row to end the year? No matter how good you think Notre Dame is, when you look around the landscape, what do you think? What would you put the odds on that Notre Dame's going to beat 4 of those teams in a row and go run it and win a championship? Pretty low. Just by the math. That's not like, oh, John, you have no faith in your own team that you follow and love. No, I'm just saying the odds of Notre Dame running that table, getting no bye, running it are going to be low. It could happen, but the actual percentages on it, I would bet, are very, very low just because of the math. It's just like the math on going 12-0. No matter who you are, the math on you going 12-0 in college football is very low. It's not a likely percentage. It's going to be a big year. All that year 3 history. $5 holler from the Homer TD. Good to talk to you, man. I miss talking to you. I got to have another Saturday night show sometime and get you in the mix. And Notre Dame Wine and Cheese. Credit to you on the little logo and the name. It's like Jerry Reinsdorf's burner. All you people come up with really creative stuff, and I appreciate it. Oh, I appreciate it. God, that's funny. $5 holler from Adam. This season's huge for Freeman if he wants that extension like Lanning and Venables. Yeah, and the rumor is, by the way, Adam, I like that boat you got. Adam's always posted pictures, sending me videos from the boat. He's got the wife out there. They're wheeling and dealing, man. Wheeling and dealing, boats and hoes remix, baby. Adam's out there partying. He's got the music going. Wife on the front of the boat. They're cruising around Indiana. Man, Adam, you got it hooked up, baby. And I got to give Adam some credit here, man. He sent me a video from the boat cruising around, and he was listening to Twista, Adrenaline Rush. Ooh, man. That's what I'm talking about. And I just picture when that bass hits in that song and it creeps in and then the bass hits, Adam's wheeling and dealing, man. He ain't messing around. That boat's the real deal. But yeah, this is a big deal. You got to have a big year. You got to have a big year. I think John likes Adam. I love Adam. I don't like Adam. I love Adam. Adam's one of my main people, man. For the business, helps me with everything you need, and personally, like every time we have a tailgate, Adam, I'll help, I'll cook, I'll do whatever. And then personally, he's just a great guy, good family, him and the wife. I don't like Adam. I love Adam. $2 out. The 21 schedule was easier than this one. Yeah, absolutely was easier than this one. But you couldn't handle that one tough home game. Kent, that's a Chicago dude too, man. That's why another reason I like that dude. That is a Chicago dude. But that adrenaline rush, I haven't heard that for a while. Adam sent it to me, and I'm like, oh, all right, let's get it. 228. What's going on? Welcome to the show on a Monday.
What's going on, John? How are you doing out there?
I got to tell you, man, I'm a little wound tight. I feel like everybody's in no man's land that's obsessed with college football. You have all questions and no answers. It's just that time of the year to overthink and just get in your own head. And I feel myself doing some of that with where we're at right now, with the team overall, recruiting, all of that. So I just feel a little uncomfortable because we don't have answers to any of our questions, and it's going to be a long ride till we get them. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm stuck somewhere in the middle of that 6 inches in between my 2 ears. I'm watching old video of Riley Leonard at Duke and Riley Leonard high school film, and I'm stuck watching A&M breakdowns, trying to see anything that I can figure out from that. it's just, this is the wrong time of year to be a college football fan. It's no fun right now. All you can do is think about all the ways it's either going to go really bad or really great.
Dude, that's it.
Everyone's kind of
that's literally it.
In the middle.
That's literally it. And I feel it from myself and from all the people I talk to and all my Notre Dame people. That's exactly it. And it's really just kind of uncomfortable. And you want answers that are just not available to you. And I find myself overthinking things, which I already am predisposed to do naturally. And it really does sometimes, man. There are days where I'm like, I'm off Twitter. I'm not doing the Twitter thing today. And I'm going to go outside and put my phone down because I just need to like break from this for a while. Like I'm at that point sometimes this time of the year.
I feel you, man. So I'll give you a couple of takes real quick, and then I'm going to get out of here. So my first thought, having watched the replay of the Duke Notre Dame game from last year, there were several times that the Notre Dame defense had Riley Leonard walking off the field, shaking his head, confused, no idea what he was looking at. But I think that's understandable when you're playing an Al Golden defense. Al Golden runs a very complex defense. But the thing that I really liked about it was Riley Leonard never mailed it in. He never gave it up. He still kept fighting. And he was one play away from sticking it where you know where.
Yeah.
So I'm actually trending up on Riley Leonard as to where I was kind of stuck with, I don't know if Riley Leonard can win at Notre Dame. I don't know that Riley Leonard has the tools to win at Notre Dame. And I'm starting to trend more up on that. So I think that's a big move that we're going to potentially get before we can segue over to C.J. Carr or Kenny Menchie or, God bless America, Deuce Knight signs with Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And we get to go somewhere. I'm down here in the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Deuce Knight's literally in my backyard.
Dude, I was just going to say that. I saw that little MS by your area code here, and I was going to ask you, this is beautiful. So let me ask you this. You're down there, SEC country, around Deuce's area. We talk about the pressure on Marcus Freeman to land Deuce and keep him in the fold. I want to remind people there's a lot of pressure on a guy like Lane to keep a guy like that to Notre Dame. There's a lot of pressure on that guy to keep this in-state talent in state. What do you hear being so close to the situation down there?
So where I am is overwhelmingly LSU country. This is
beautiful. Beautiful. I would fit in great down there. They would love me. I promise you.
Yeah, like a turd in a punch bowl, you'd fit in. So these guys, they are so not wanting Deuce Knight to go to Notre Dame because of the whole Brian Kelly thing. But there's a lot of Ole Miss fans here as well, and they are every day talking about, we're going to flip him. We're going to flip him. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin is making every push he has left to try to get Deuce to flip. I just don't see it happening. I think Deuce is really locked in. I think he's a different kid than what is in this local market overall. Not that these other kids are bad kids. They're just not overwhelmingly Notre Dame fits. And Deuce is a Notre Dame fit. I'm really excited to get to see him play live a couple of times this year. Last year, the only games that would have worked out that I could have seen him play was when he was having to sit out because of the transfer back and forth between the Nashville school and home. So I didn't get to see it, but I'm going to get to see him play. I'm really excited about that. So I think that Marcus Freeman's tenure is going to be evaluated not on this 2024 season. I think it starts with the 2025 season because he's going to have his guy pulling the trigger, whether that's Kenny Menchie, whether that's C.J. Carr, or whether Deuce Knight comes in and he's just such an athletic freak, you can't keep him off the field. I know that's a super pie-in-the-sky take, but this kid is a unicorn. People don't understand how big of a unicorn Deuce Knight is. They just don't. He reminds me so much of some of these kids that you've seen through other programs that Notre Dame never gets, and now's our chance to finally land one.
Okay, let me ask
We'll see
this.
how that goes.
Yeah, I got a couple questions just due to your access and the media and everything in your local area. Number one is people want to know what area it is down there you're from, like what town or whatever. Is it Gulfport, or am I just reading that off the screen? People want to know what area specifically.
I live in Biloxi, which is just to the east of Gulfport. But Gulfport, Biloxi, Ocean Springs, there's not like really a divide. They're just, it's one street says you're on Gulfport, one street says you're in Biloxi. You get me? It's like, they're all interconnected.
So
I'm in Biloxi, right down here in Casino Alley. It's the Las Vegas of the South.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask this. When you hear or read and people are like, we're going to flip him, he's going to end up staying home, it's just a matter of time or whatever. When you hear that, what is that based on? Is it based on just rumors on Twitter and a blog and the boards of what people want to happen? Is it just based on that? Or is it based on the thought of, it just doesn't line up that this kid would leave here in this good situation and could play with Lane and have an exciting offense in state or whatever, and not the typical location Notre Dame kids are pulled out of? So is it based on the theory that like he's just not the most typical Notre Dame fit, not from a Notre Dame recruiting pipeline, so we don't think that's going to happen? Or like what's driving the thought that it's just a matter of time before he's going to flip? What's driving it?
I think it's two things. I think number one, Ole Miss doesn't have a shortage of money. Ole Miss has money, and I think that they know they're going to pull out the bag and say, you're going to have to say no to this bag of money in order to go to Notre Dame. And I think that move's going to happen at some point relatively soon, but we'll see. But the second thing is, I think people don't understand enough about Deuce. I say that as if he's my best friend. I think that people don't understand that, yes, he's from a small community. Like he said many times, there's 2 stoplights where he's from. I think they're translating that into he's not willing to go somewhere and explore. The thing that they don't understand is they've never been to South Bend. South Bend is not Chicago. South Bend is not New York. South Bend is not these big cities. He's going to be just fine. He's going to fit in. And the fact that Notre Dame is such a tight-knit community, I think it's what he really thrives in, and I think that's what he's looking forward to. You throw in the fact that he's such a smart kid, he's academically charged. But they're counting on the fact that he doesn't want to leave home. He's comfortable in Mississippi. He's familiar with Mississippi. When he gets homesick, it's a few-hour ride. It's not a 12-hour ride, So I think that's what it's coming down to, and I think they're really comfortable that the big bag of money is going to show up here real soon, and Deuce is going to have to say no to a big bag of money.
Yeah, and man, that is and I admit it, I'm a Notre Dame guy. Everybody knows that. It would be really hard to turn down a lot of the things you're offered. If you're an 18-year-old kid, you want to better your family situation right away, make mom more comfortable, all the things you might consider if you were a kid in that position. I guess you got to hope that his relationship with Freeman is genuine and strong, and he really does see through the short-term stuff and looks at the long-term, options that are available to him through Notre Dame and what that all means. But it's gonna, I'm just telling you, man, I'm not counting it over till everything's over officially. Like I trust nothing in recruiting I trust nothing in recruiting anymore. So until it's officially signed, I'm going to have anxiety about it. I just am.
I'm completely in the same boat with you. I hate recruiting. It's the one thing that I can't stop reading this time of year, and it's the one thing that makes me the most insane because it's 18-year-old kids, making decisions, and there's so much influence in their lives and money and everything. It's just too much. But I'll give you one last thing on Deuce Knight, and then I want to move on to a new topic real quick before I got to get out of here. But the video of know if you saw it on Twitter yesterday, but he was lining up just short of the 50 and throwing the ball out of the back of the end zone in a perfect tight spiral. Have you seen this?
Yeah. Yeah, he's a physical specimen.
I mean, when was the last time Notre Dame had a kid that could let the ball rip the way Deuce can let the ball rip? We haven't been able to attack the middle of the field in 20 years because we don't have anybody that can rip the ball like that. It's going to let Mike Denbrock destroy other teams' defenses. And if Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman can keep what they currently have on defense to just keep you in games to where we don't just go lay an egg and 12 and 15 and 17 point our way out of a game, and we actually scored 28 points in a game, God forbid, against the top 10 team. Imagine what you could open up the possibilities to. It's just my poor pea brain can't take the idea that we could actually have Deuce Knight with that kind of arm and that kind of talent and that kind of physical gift. I just don't see Marcus Freeman maintaining a defense and not winning a championship with that much talent. Obviously, kids are busts. It happens all the time. But, boy, the future looks bright when you see that number 2 in a gold helmet.
Yeah, he is a different type of talent, and Notre Dame does not have those type of guys at quarterback, and I'm excited. It could be exactly what you need to turn the corner at Notre Dame. Like literally, that could be exactly what you need where that all changes. Andrew Gilmore says, is the QB room big enough for both Knight and Carr in the same room? It's going to be tough to keep both happy. There's going to become a time where I think those two have a competition and one of them's going to win it and the other one might leave and go play somewhere else. Like, I'm just being honest. That's where I maybe see this going, is at some point, if Deuce needs a redshirt year to get settled into college or whatever it is, or get stronger, learn whatever he needs to learn, eventually you could have a matchup where those guys compete and one of them's going to win it and the other one might leave. And that's just the way it's going to go.
Well, and that's one of the things that I wanted to transition to, because that right there is the one thing that no one can take away from Marcus Freeman right now. You can say that he's not chopping down a different aisle. We're not getting the Taylon Taylors. We're not getting the Justin Scotts. We're not getting, you name who you want to name that we didn't get. But you know what we are getting? We're getting stud quarterbacks at a rate that Brian Kelly never even dreamt of.
Yeah.
Brian Kelly never even considered getting these kind of quarterbacks.
It's a big deal.
But you know what? If or whoever it might be, Mr. Minchie doesn't want the pressure of that, you know what? Mr. Grubbs is coming next. And then there's another kid, because Marcus Freeman knows Notre Dame is a place that you're not going to win a natty without elite signal callers. And he has viciously attacked the quarterback room. And now Notre Dame is a top 5 quarterback room, maybe top 3 quarterback room in all the country. It's just not even a fair discussion to not Marcus Freeman on recruiting at that position.
Now,
whatever you want with the rest of it, it's going to work itself out.
Well, now wait. We still got to see it though, right? Like, the recruiting is one thing, but I love the upgrade in the recruiting with the guys we have and the their ratings. But I still got to see it on the field, right? That's the next thing, is seeing the development with Gino and then blending it with Denbrock and then getting a higher level, more consistent level of play against good teams. I'm still waiting to see that play out. And it all starts after this year. If healthy, it's Riley Leonard's year. Then it becomes those guys' time, and it needs to be good. And it needs to be a cut above where we've been at.
I'm with you 100%, but I'll just say this to follow up again. The trick is Brian Kelly had one guy every 3 or 4 years to hit on.
Yep.
Marcus Freeman has a 25% shot with every guy in the room, because he's got 4 kids in the room that could all be a boom. Brian Kelly would have one guy with a boom potential and 3 guys with a bust potential, and all of them were busts, and then we never got any quarterback play. At least now there's 4 guys with boom potential. So if they're just the worst evaluators of talent ever, and we bust out every year, well, then the Freeman experiment was a tank, and it's over, and we're looking at somebody else in a couple of years anyway.
Yeah, but you're right.
Marcus Freeman.
I think you're right, man. It's the number one thing. I'm sure you've heard me say, quarterback is the single most important individual position in all of sports, the one that moves the needle the most for the whole situation. Notre Dame's not been good enough there for way too long. They're putting themselves in a position to change all that. And we just haven't seen Notre Dame operating at that level as far as having those guys that are true difference makers. And I want to see it, man. So you have a Riley Leonard year, and then I need to see these guys crank it up after that. Anything else, my friend? Thanks for giving me a call from way down south. I appreciate it.
No problem. I'm glad to do it. Look, I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller. Little humor there for you.
That's an old AM. That's an old sports talk radio bit, man. First time, long time, man. Like that's yeah, I love that. Thank you.
So the A&M game, last thing I'll talk to you about. I am the most nervous about the A&M game as I've been about anything since the Ohio State game last year.
It's a big moment.
The Ohio State game last year, when it melted down, I had a house full of people. We had a big barbecue going. It was a great day. We're going to win the game. And then we didn't. And I turned to my friends and I said, I'm never going to let myself get this excited again. I can't take the crush of the defeat. Yeah. A&M is going to be a similar situation for me, and I just can't help it. I'm already getting myself in the situation where if we go to A&M and we lay an egg on national TV, 7 o'clock at night, it's 100 degrees, and we get run out of the gym, so to speak, I'm not going to be able to handle that because living down here, brother, being a Notre Dame fan is already enough work.
I bet.
Getting run out by A&M, I don't think that's going to work out. But if they do go to A&M, and even if they have to kick a damn field goal to win it with a second to go, you have the potential to at least go 10-2, 11-1. God forbid we went 12-0. But if they go down to A&M and they don't get it done, the falling off that could potentially happen and that 9-3 season comes again, I just think there's so many things that can go wrong with not winning in week 1. Yeah. That it could snowball on.
I know. That's my fear too.
I really enjoy the show.
Really good first call, man. Really good first call. Clear phone lines, like good thought structures. I really enjoy it. Call me again. Thank you.
We'll see it.
Have a good one. I like that. I like new callers. Look at this. Burt Reynolds. I love Twister. It's just the funniest thing in the world to see Burt Reynolds there and then like thinking of actual Burt Reynolds, like bobbing his head to Twister. Like I just, it's hilarious. Oh man. 773, you're talking to me. What's going on?
Hey, John, what's going on? Big Ten brother from Chicago. Hey, listen, I want to talk about 2 things. First, the recruiting of Deuce, and second, A&M. I wish everybody would slow down a little bit with that's great. Hopefully Deuce shows up at Notre Dame, but put yourself in C.J. Carr's situation right now. I mean, he's going to feel all this Deuce love, and you don't even have him here yet. I mean, what about C.J. Carr? You got to start supporting C.J. Carr, too.
Yeah, well, okay. Now, wait. Let's try and be really, really fair about this. C.J. Carr's already at Notre Dame. So that's what, isn't that a part of this equation? Like, it's not like they're both at Notre Dame. So I think it's natural that the guy being actively recruited that isn't in the fold yet is going to get more attention than a guy where everybody's like, we already have this guy that's safe. Do you get what I mean? I think that's a big difference is one's already there, so you don't have to worry about it, and the other one isn't. And I think that's why it's getting so much run. But I feel like you're talking about the fan base throwing Carr away like he doesn't have a chance to be good or anything, and we just want it to be Deuce. Is that more where your mind's at?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if I'm CJ Carr and I'm sitting here thinking, well, I'm going to compete for a starting job, and everybody's hoping that Deuce comes in so that he gets pushed aside. The first thing that goes wrong, CJ Carr's going to hit the portal because he's like, you know what? I seen this coming. I should have known this a year ago. I seen this coming. I just think that you have to support all the quarterbacks the same way and just let them compete then. Just let them go out there and compete. You have your favorite, that's fine. But I mean, to come on and let's get Deuce and get all these other guys out of here, and Deuce is going to take us here, he's going to take us there. I'm sitting here thinking, boy, if I'm Minchie or Carr, I'm looking at the portal here. I'm going to start looking at the portal to see where I can land. And you don't want those guys. These guys are 17, 18, 19-year-old kids. That's how they feel at that.
Now, do you think that that's like the way Carr thinks about it? Or if you're that dude, are you thinking I'm ready to compete, whatever, bring on the next guy and I'm going to try and beat him out and I'm going to compete? Like, I don't know what the reality is.
Here's just being in that position myself, playing college ball. He's right now. He's like, he's not worried about it. He's not worried about it at all. He's thinking this way. I'm a year ahead of Deuce. I know the offense. You know, he right now he's got the advantage. So right now he's comfortable with everything that's going on. But the minute he starts feeling like, hey, I'm playing better than Deuce, but they see more potential in Deuce, so he starts taking first team reps. Then he's going to start feeling jittery, like, wow, I'm here. I know the offense. Right now, I'm playing better than he is. But, yes, everybody sees the potential of Deuce. The minute they make that move from Deuce to number one, CJ Carr to number two, he's got to feel like, wow, that's unfair. Right now, if you put us in a game, I would do better than him. Maybe he will be better than me. But right now, I'm better than him. But if he feels he's getting pushed aside, he's out of here.
Now, how do you see this playing out? I don't believe for the physical gifts Deuce has, I don't think he's going to start year one. I think you're really looking at it one developmental redshirt year for Deuce to get settled into college, polish things up. I'm thinking maybe that'd be the year Carr's the starter, and he'll have every chance in the world to maybe cement himself or have a good year or be like wherever. So then I think it would be that next year where you would have that competition between those two guys. But I don't think I know a lot of people that think Deuce is going to be ready to really compete and be able to start his first year. So I think that's where Carr's going to have a chance to get in there and maybe plant a flag and establish himself. And then the following year, maybe they compete. Do you see it that way or not?
Yes, I see it that way, and that's what I'm talking about. The second year,
yeah,
when Deuce does a year under his belt,
yep,
and he feels comfortable with the offense, but maybe Carr's already seen some action, or maybe even Carr's the starter.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden they make the change, and they're like, you know what, Carr can get us to 10-2, maybe even 11-1, but Deuce could take us all the way. Marcus has a decision to make right there. Do I go ahead and make that jump, knowing that if we're going to run the table, we're going to run the table with Deuce. We can get to 10-2 with Carr every year, no problem. So to win it all, and that's where that window is, where they got to make a decision. Do they stick with Carr and see how far he can take us? But then you have Deuce on the bench for 3 years.
Yeah, and then it's Deuce. Well, see, if you flip it, a guy like Deuce, is he going to be willing to sit around for 3 years before he gets his shot? Like, you could flip it and have it that way too. So I don't know. And then if Freeman does make that call and he goes, you could do a 10-2 floor with Carr's gifts or whatever, but Deuce has the ability to maybe, do something really electric and then makes that call. Isn't that just the way football goes these days? And then Carr, I guess, has a decision to transfer somewhere else and be a starter somewhere else. But right? Like, that's the way this goes these days.
Yes, that's exactly right. I mean, at some point, that's going to happen where they're both going to be competing. So maybe it's in 2 years or a year in the spring where it's like, okay, everything's on the table. the quarterback position's wide open. Hopefully that eventually happens. That's what you want to happen. But what I don't want to see is if Carr gets an opportunity and then he feels like he's not getting a fair opportunity, and then he transfers. That's what I'm afraid of. If Deuce beats Carr out and then he leaves, fine. That's how it's supposed to work. But I don't want it to happen too early where Carr feels like, say, next spring, Carr's going into his.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I think what you're saying is different, and I do understand. Yeah, the different. I get where you're coming from on that.
Yeah, and the other thing, one more thing there, and then I'll let you go, is what happened? Deuce went somewhere else to play. I'm just learning about this. Deuce went somewhere else to play high school football?
Didn't he go? Didn't he? Yeah, I think he left and went to go to a private school for better competition, and then he came back. So there was some story with that.
Oh, boy. And he came back probably because he was homesick, right?
I'm not sure. I don't remember the clarity on it, but I do believe there was a situation where he left the public league place to go to a private league school, something like that. I remember. But yeah, I don't remember all the details.
Yeah, that's something that'd be interesting to look into. Like, why did he leave and come back? Did he come back because he was homesick? That would be concerning to me.
Right.
Or the second part, did he leave because the competition was like, wow, I'm at this big school that's supposed to win the state championship. And they got two quarterbacks here that are pretty good. I want to go back home.
Yeah.
Boy, that's more concerning to me now than even Carr. Is why did he go to this other school? Obviously, it was a better school, probably to win a state championship. Like all those kids go down to IMA, is that down in Florida? They all transfer down there because it's a high school football factory, and then they get their scholarship from there because they're coming from schools that maybe don't get looked at as much.
Yeah.
Now, if Deuce did that, I'm not saying he went to that school, but if he went to another school to get exposure, which he doesn't need exposure, but maybe at the time he thought he needed exposure, he got there.
Yeah.
And then why? My concern is why didn't he stay? That's what I want to know. If he was homesick, that's concerning to me. It's like, wow, he couldn't even last a year transferring to a high school and he had to come back home. Or both are concerning. He got there and he wasn't used to that competition. Like, wow, everybody's at college. Everybody gets scholarships out of this place. I'm going back home where I'm the star.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, all right, maybe this is a good way to bring this conversation home is all of this discussion we just had about how this is going to play out. How do you fairly navigate this competition between these guys that have high potential, whatever? Here's my initial response. These are good problems to have. I want us to all understand, as tricky as this could get down the road and be uncomfortable and want to be fair to everybody and all this stuff, these are the problems you want to have to decide between multiple quarterbacks that you think can take you where you need to go and play at eye level. That's the kind of problem you want to have. So it's going to be uncomfortable. Freeman's got to figure out how to handle it the right way. But I need everybody to understand that's an improvement over where we've been in that realm.
Yes, I agree with that. Obviously, you'd rather have a problem like, why have three quarterbacks that are potential first-round draft picks? That's the problem Alabama and Georgia always had. And then, like Georgia had that issue. They always had a quarterback transfer out. Once they made a decision on this is our guy, we're going to stick with him, you never heard about it because, you really have to follow college football to know that this guy transferred out and went over here or went over there. But yes, that's the problem. You just want to make sure, though, that you made that decision. Like, this is my guy. This guy could take us to the national championship. So if whoever leaves after that, that's fine. We've made our decision. You don't want to have it happen where the other kid, you're not sure yet. You'd like to see another spring with the kid or another season with the kid, and then he leaves. The timing is incredible. The timing of this is so important of getting it right. When you make your decision, and then whoever leaves. But you got to make sure, like I say, it's Deuce. You make your decision like Deuce is going to take us. He's going to start for 3 years, and then the guys behind him, whoever stays, whoever leaves. But you just hope gosh, I hope I made the right decision, and I hope I made it at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's man, we got some big things coming down the road here in Notre Dame land. And so I hope everybody navigates it fairly in the right way and the right priorities and all that. Hey man, thanks for giving me a call on a Monday. Good call.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Man, I just Andrew Gilmore, it's not necessarily good problems. Look at A&M and the Sumlin era and Johnny football, and it got all complicated. Dude, I'm just sick of Notre Dame not having quarterbacks that can win you the biggest game because they're good enough to put the team on their shoulder and make the plays you need to win the big games. We have not had that for so many years. Give me as many eye-level guys, let them battle it out. Somebody could leave, I don't know. But you need to get a higher level out of these quarterbacks. I say it all the time. Notre Dame's quarterback needs to be good enough. You win your biggest games because of them. Not at all. Not with them, meaning the defense drags them across the finish line because of the biggest games on the schedule. Notre Dame's quarterback needs to be one of the best players on the field in control. Football's stressful, ain't it? Look at us in June. 385. Make that body come alive. What's going on, baby?
Johnny, you there, buddy?
Oh, I'm there. Are you there?
All right. Yeah, I'm here. Hey, Johnny, just a few things. Just to touch base because I know the conversation got started early. Andrew had some good points. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I don't dislike him. You know what I mean? He makes good points. He's very smart. You can tell he truly follows the program. But did you see the interview with Jacksonville Burris? I've been asking on the chat. I think Smitty's the only one that's seen it.
I don't think I did.
Well, to touch on what you talk about, like as far as Freeman and the hustle and the recruiting, like these dudes are all recruiting with each other. You know what I mean? Plaxico talked about Jerome when he got into the Hall of Fame and said, "Hey man, I would love for you to be there." And he says, "What do you mean?" He goes, "No, you don't." He goes, "No man, I want you there." You know, so when the kids were getting recruited, you know, they're all excited. So they're all basically all these legacies. You know, Brian Young's son, Bettis, Plaxico's, Urlacher's son. All these dudes talk, right? They're all close. From what it seems like, Ryan Clarkson is transferred over to the team now too. So he made it a point to say how all these dudes are networking, you know, to like recruit with each other. So, you know, and that's in a sense what Deuce is doing as well. So I think we're in a good position, man. I don't see him flipping, you know, and you know, just like the caller previous to the last one, Notre Dame's a really tight-knit community, you know what I mean? And so I don't see that happening, man, really, you know?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Dude, with all of this, Notre Dame fans just have so much scar tissue from on the field results the last 30 years to a lot of recruiting heartbreak. I just feel like Notre Dame fans are always waiting for the bottom to fall out of every situation because we're so used to things just not going our way ever on the field or the way you want them in recruiting. I'm telling you, man, people expect the worst. You're waiting for the bottom to fall out. You're waiting for an anvil to fall on your head like a cartoon.
No, right? I mean, that's the problem with being the greatest program in all the land, man, you know? You know, you got that target on your back and you kind of feel like, hey, man, is this going to jinx it? But, you know, also one other thing, people talk about the 5-star, the 247, the 5-star. That's great. And like I told you, like I mentioned this before, the kid that came out of the last big recruit we had that came out of the school I was coaching at, and you can look it up. As school, you can look it up, and I'm pretty sure Andrew can look it up too. I mean, he was the second number 2 quarterback in the country, and he got to Alabama. You know what I mean? And I think he backed up Jalen Hurts. Love the kid, great kid, 6'4", grade 40, hell of an arm, 2-something. Number 5-star recruit. Just bred for football, man. High IQ. You know, then he gets to Bama, and you know the career didn't go the way you know we all would love for him to go, rooting for
for a local kid. You know what I mean? So I think sometimes the recruiters, the 247 Sports and the other ones, I think sometimes they're talking out of the side of their neck because sometimes that doesn't work out for the kids, man, and that's unfortunate. But they get to somewhere else and they get in a culture shock and they're not ready for it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't really go off too much of those recruiting rankings. You know what I'm saying? Because I just think sometimes they're biased, or it's like for example, the kid that was from here. I told him, hey man, those boys coming out of town, they're coming for your ass. They don't have the beautiful Rocky Mountains, man, right behind you going to the suburbs, man. They gotta go back to some shitholes. And so that's all they got is their talent. You know what I mean? I don't know if people take type of things like that into the X factor when it comes to these young men. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, there's just so many different things to consider and different ways of thought of approaching all this. And man, I keep leaning back on hearing what a strong relationship Deuce has with Freeman and Deuce's mom has with Freeman. And him kind of Freeman taking him under his wing a little bit and being like a friend, mentor thing, coach at the same time, that relationship. I want to think that's genuine and that matters. But I've just seen too many times where you're like, oh, this is different. And it ends up not being. So like, I'll believe it when I see it, but that's what I keep being told.
No, exactly. And we all have that in the back of our heads, that thought. But one last thing I'm going to tell you this is I watched one interview with Mantek. He lives down here, in Utah. He lives in Vineyard, down there by BYU. But he had an interview here with the local podcast. And he, up until the day, man, the hour almost, he was set on USC. And he said he talks about his dad. His dad told him, pray about it, son. Dad, he was, and he said all the people around him started telling him, hey, so where is that? Yeah, I'm going to USC. He said, I think one track coach, he goes, going to USC, huh? He goes, yeah. And he goes, well, yeah, they got good people. And, you could be the next Raymond Luna, the next Junior Sale, but I always thought you'd be the first man Taiteo. And you know what, man? People can say whatever, man. Like, I'm a fan of that dude, man. Like, that season, he was robbed of the Heisman, man. And I know that's a stretch, but, hey, man, that dude's career would have not been what it would have been at USC the way it was at Notre Dame, man. I don't care. Even my buddies that are Polynesian that know him, some of the Tongans that know him out here, they say, yeah, bro, you're right. He would not have been that dude at BYU.
Yeah.
He would not have been that dude at USC because BYU was recruiting him because, he's a Mormon. But with that being said, I think Freeman is bringing back that thought, like, hey, you can be the Deuce Knight, man, that brings Notre Dame, back to his glory days. And I know I get kind of heat from the guys. I'm not too big on Carr. I'm not sold on him because at high school game I seen him play against the number 2 quarterback in the country where he was demolished. And but I hope it all works out for all the kids. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, they suit up, man, for Old Faithful, man, and I gotta be loyal to the ones that suit up, man.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
It's Johnny.
We got a lot. Bro, we got a lot of weeks still before we get answers to all these questions on the recruiting front, on the field against A&M. Like when we get into August, this build-up's going to be fun, man. I want you to keep enjoying the rest of your summer, and thanks for always being a part of the show. I appreciate you.
Yeah, brother. We'll see you in September, man. Onward, Notre Dame.
Beautiful. Love it. Have a good one, buddy. Man, let's all donate to Kelly Cares. Dude, if Carr's 6'3", I'm shocked by that. Is he really 6'3"? People saying he's short. He doesn't look like he's 6'3". I walked right by him he came in the building when we were leaving the building at that event. Didn't feel 6'3" to me, but then again, I mean, I'm short. Maybe I'm off. I don't know. Maybe I'm off. But again, the one thing I want to say is I like this position with the quarterbacks worrying about how good, and then another one's good, but another guy might be better. And what happens if that happens? That's the situation I want to be in. And it's like, oh, John, somebody might leave and transfer. Yeah, that's the way this goes now. I don't expect Carr and Deuce to both stay at Notre Dame the duration of their college football careers. I do not expect that. Neither should you. Both of those guys feel like they're going to be starter, quality, whatever guys. I don't expect them both stay at Notre Dame. What you got to do, though, is pick the right one. You got to pick the right one. That's the mistake Notre Dame must avoid. Picking the wrong one and the right one gets frustrated and leaves. Then you're in a bad spot. But I'll sign up for that, a high-level quarterback competition any day over, whatever we were doing. Drew Pine is not fine. Like, no. Oh, boy. It's a lot of stress. This is a lot to worry about. We're not even at 4th of July yet. Look at all this anxiety and all this stress. Man. I don't know how it's going to go, you guys. And we got a long road. We got 9 Saturdays till the game. Players with John's body type. Yep, it's on the list. It's on it. You got a bingo for that one. Where is it? Let me see. Players with my body type. Yeah, check it off. Where's your marker? John, please get mad. I get mad every day. It's just a matter of what about. All right, you guys, that's going to be it for the show. All over the map here. Iffy start with the negativity and everything, and then we picked up. I think we had a very strong second half of the show. Also, good job with the chats, callers. Good job. Donations. You guys know, man. You donate a few bucks, it goes to the phone line. The phone lines aren't free. And I get charged by the minute. So the longer I let you guys talk, the more it comes out of my account. So all that money goes right into the keep the phone line active and then pay for the by minute that I have to pay to do all that. And so I really appreciate it, especially in the summer when there isn't much going on and it isn't football time. You guys keep the show going, and I really do appreciate it. We will have an episode for you tomorrow. I'll be at Notre Dame, and I'll say a prayer at the grotto on all your behalf, and it'll be a good time, and then we'll be back with you Wednesday. Everybody have a good one. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you.